Hello, High Performance Men, guys. My name's Adriano. Welcome to the High Performance Man podcast. Today we're talking about all things recovery. So if you want to know about everything recovery, I am currently in recovery mode. So I thought, what more of a fitting time to chat about all things recovery than when I'm in a phase of it myself. As you can hear, a bit nasally and all of the fun stuff. Now I'm working two jobs, so I have an online coaching business that I'm launching called the High Performance Man, and we make about 3 videos a day on YouTube and a podcast, 3 podcasts a week. Now, it requires a lot of work, obviously, to go to this level of, I don't know, success I think that I want, right? And I have to train every day. I have to walk 1.5 hours as well to get my steps in. So there's a lot of physical exertion and I'm in a calorie deficit. So hard calorie deficit alongside lots of exercise and lots of work. I'm working an average of probably 15 hours a day. Look, I'm on the clock from 4 a.m. I'm training until I finish and I get home at 8:30. So work that out, 16 and a half hours. I pretty much go home, go to bed, come back to work. Now, I'm really happy with that because I know the terms and conditions of the life that I want to live in 5 years. And I know that I'm going to live an amazing life of abundance if I commit to this process of getting it done regardless of how I feel. However, sometimes you have to slow down in order for your body to catch up. So what does that look like? I'll run through some basic recovery practices that I utilize to keep me, obviously, recovery is designed to keep you really, really sharp. So you're impactful, I want to say, every single day. And sometimes you need to take a couple of steps back or stop stepping in order to step forward. Catch your breath, so to speak. So that's what all recovery is all about for me. I'm really happy with the level of output that I'm doing. I'm really proud of myself, but not only that, I wake up ready to go every day. I really look forward to all the work that I'm doing. Now, how I step back from that is only dependent on when I feel absolutely flogged. So I think it's coming into week 5 or week 6 of me feeling very under the weather. Now, with all that being said, the way that I've stepped back is just no resistance training. Now, I've been resistance training for 15 years. There's no chance I'm just going to stop. I need it, like air to breathe. So I'm just stopping training for a week. I'm going to keep my walking up, so my hour and a half of steps. I got in an hour today, but it's raining, so I'm probably going to miss my extra half an hour. However, I'm in a deficit, so that should be helping me with the fat loss stuff. So that's one way you can recover from what you're doing. It's called a deload week. So a deload week is if you've been training hard for anywhere from probably 6 to 8 to 16 weeks, I want to say. Something like that. 4 months straight, pretty rough. Now, everybody's going to have different opinions on this. I know some sessions I come in and I don't blast it, so I kind of look at that as like an inbuilt deload week. But what you should incorporate is a time where you drop your output by 50%. Typically, that's what a deload is. So you've got sets, reps, weight. You can deload or drop the load on 50% of those exercise, or 50% of those metrics, so of those outcomes. So let's say if you're squatting normally 150 kilos for 10 reps for 4 sets, 3 sets, whatever. Let's say 4 sets. Then what you want to do is to scale back and deload, you'd want to squat 100 kilos or something similar to 80 kilos, let's say, for 10 reps for 4 sets. And that's your exercise done in that way. Now, a leg press, you do the same. So if you're normally leg pressing 200, 250 kilos, you'll dial it back to 150 kilos for 10 reps, and you'll apply that across all your exercises in the week. So that includes back, biceps, all that stuff. It's a really good practice because it keeps you fresh and, more importantly, injury-free. Now, I had worked to a point where it's safe to say there's physical burnout, not mental. I feel really, really good. But It was starting to weigh down on me just in terms of it was hard for me to wake up in the morning last Saturday and Sunday, so 2 days ago. And so I made that decision. I was like, look, I'm not going to train. I'm not going to do anything like that. So that's going to be my deload week for me. Now, some people probably wouldn't prescribe or subscribe to that level of deload if you're like a bodybuilder or something like that, maybe. But I'm really okay with that level of intensity because I'll get some more sleep. I'll wake up a bit later and I'll get a couple of extra hours in because I normally train in the morning. So I'll get more sleep, do less exercise, and I'll get nice and I'll get a solid amount of recovery in as a result of that. So far, what I've seen is a 50% alleviation of symptoms of my coughing. So I'm not waking up coughing and getting rid of phlegm in the mornings, and I'm not doing it at night and having coughing fits during the day. So I went through a course of antibiotics, tried to rid myself of the cough with that. That didn't work. Pretty much nothing that I attempted worked to alleviate it, and then I stopped training, and that seemed to do the trick. So for me, it's not about stripping everything back with recovery. It is generally speaking, about turning small knobs and seeing what happens. Let's say if I kept feeling like shit, well, I'd stop walking. Probably I'd cut my walking down 50%, I want to say. So then I'd be doing 45 minutes a day of walking, which is still pretty reasonable to get steps up. And then if that didn't work, I'd go down to half an hour. And if that didn't work, I put my food up to so I'm at maintenance calories or in a surplus. And I just give my body what it needs in order to recover. That's it. You just turn the knobs, whatever dial you can. Training's the easiest one for me to opt out of for a week. That's the simplest one. And I'm hoping for the most returns on it. And so far, so good. So that's a really good way where you can dial back on your training and help to recover. There's a few other things that you can do for recovery. I guess obviously you're going to be want to be hitting 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you'd want 220 grams of protein a day. That to be taken obviously over protein shakes, chicken, steak, whatever it is for you. That would be my recommendation. Now, those would be the two things that I'm hitting. So if you're training deload, protein's high, and your sleep. Now, my sleep, I think I got 6.5 hours last night, which isn't a lot. I just couldn't get to bed. It doesn't happen very rarely, but as I've burnt out, as I find there's some burnout, my mind just ticks. So normally I'm asleep in 10 seconds flat. It took me a while I was tossing and turning a little bit last night, so it's a good indication of like a mental burnout as well. So what you want to do there is making sure you're prioritizing 8 hours of sleep. That's going to help with the immune system. It's going to help with recovery. It's going to help with neurotransmitter production and function, everything. So those would be some of the pillars that I'd be looking at. Would be recovery in terms of deload, would be reduction of walking, would be increasing or making sure you're nailing your protein requirements for the day. Outside of that, what else did I say? Your sleep. And those, in my opinion, would be the main ones. They're the ones that are going to make the difference. Oh, and workload. So today I just went home and slept. Literally watched Red Dwarf, which is like one of my favorite TV shows. It's like a UK-based TV show made, I think, in like the 90s, 80s, 90s. It's fucking hilarious. It's on Stan, if you're ever interested. But I just put that on and just kind of bliss out. And now I fell asleep in front of the couch for like 2 hours today. Fucked around, and then back to work for PM sessions. So that is a way that I'm going to recover. I mean, tomorrow is more or less the same. So I've got therapy in the middle of the day. I'll do that, come home, have another nap, have a sleep, recover, make sure I'm eating well, eating all the food that I want to eat as well, which is really important. And then, I think like those are really the heavy hitters. Just making sure that you're doing all those things that you're supposed to be doing. That's really all recovery is. If you try and like strip it all back, it's not going to help in the long term. So like, let's say if I was doing all these things and I felt these symptoms and I was like, fuck, I got to cut back. But I stripped everything back. So if I stripped everything back in terms of like training volume, stopped walking, eating went up to maintenance. That wouldn't be the worst idea, but it's just such a drastic change And there's no need when you're at this level or at your level, beginner level, to make drastic changes to anything. The way you can maintain your success and progression in the weight loss space, in the health and fitness space, is turning knobs that you know you should turn. So going from 7 hours sleep or 6.5 to 8, going from training 7 sessions a week to maybe training 4, or training 7 sessions but with half intensity, so going from 160 kilo squat to 80 kilo squat, etc. Or cutting down, going from 30 reps to 15 reps. Whatever it is for you, dropping down the total volume, that sort of shit. Okay, so you can drop intensity or you can drop volume. Those are two things that you can do if you are in recovery phase. I was probably doing a lot of exercises with some junk volume in there as well, so kind of noted on that. Training 7 sessions a week, you're not going to get 7 quality sessions out, but I understand that I'm training at 4 a.m. and that's not my best time to train in terms of my performance. I train better in that sort of 7-ish, I want to say 7-ish, 8 in the morning, when I've probably had something to eat and all the rest. Those are the key pillars of recovery, team. I don't know what else I suppose I can reference. I suppose workload is going to be another one as well. If you can take a day off work, I'd recommend it. For some people, you can't. I'm lucky where I obviously run my own business, so normally I'd be here at the office grinding and getting it done. But on the days where obviously physically there's shitty output, there's not much, I'm not going to be very effective at work. I'm better off sleeping, going home and recovering in order to be more effective next week. This week, I'm still going to apply myself, still do everything I need to do to push the business forward, but it's the bare minimum to push it forward versus, always striving like I have always done. So yeah, those are my key things. Recovery is a very simple thing. I don't really have too much extra to add. It's very simple. I think a lot of people overcomplicate it, and they talk about infrared saunas, ice baths, all that shit. Ice baths aren't good for recovery. They're really good for like dopamine production. But recovery, I'm going to say focus on your sleep more. Prioritize that. I think an extra hour of sleep would probably get you better recovery than an ice bath. Infrared sauna might be something that you're interested in. Blood flow, all that good shit. I think it's kind of nice as well, kind of like relaxing for the head. So if that's something you want to do, I would advise that. But outside of that, it's kind of a bit of a wank, really. I can't see any benefit of any other recovery-based practices than the ones that I've mentioned. So if this podcast has helped you at all today, team, I'm going to end it there. It's a very, very quick one today. Please go ahead to the High Performance Man profile on Spotify for me. Make sure you've just clicked that you've watched the rest of the end of this podcast, and then rate it all 5 stars for me. That would be fucking brilliant if you could do that, as it would help me reach more people, and this podcast would get a bit more airtime. Hope you guys are doing well, and appreciate you guys tuning in, and thanks. Hopefully your recovery stuff goes as well as mine is going at the moment. All the best.